Hello, credit union friends. Welcome to this episode of Three Questions. I'm Greg Michlig, President and CEO at CUInsight.com, and it's great to be joined by Barrett Crites, Vice President of Software and Delivery and Design at Allied Solutions. Barrett, thanks for being here.
Oh, no, Greg, the pleasure is all mine. Really excited.
Yeah, excited as well. And I know our audience is excited to hear your valuable insights. So let's jump into those three questions. And
Okay, hit me. What you got?
all right, so the first one is, what are the key ingredients of strong user experience?
Oh, key ingredients of a strong UX. I think a good place to start is defining what is UX. What does that mean? User experience. It also gets closely tied to UI, which is user interface. One of those is what does it look like to use something, and the other is what does it feel like to use something. You can have something that looks nice, but can be a pain to use, or you can have something that looks average, but could be an amazing experience. If you're getting it right, you're hitting both of those things at the same time. Then adjacent to that, we have MX, member experience. We have CX, customer experience. Those areas tend to focus on the broader life cycle, and then CX kind of in that customer service space. So within user experience and user interface, Allied, about 8 years ago, we stood up a user experience department. I was the guy who came in and started to build that. And we really put a lot of attention into what is the customer experience and your customers, your members' customers' experience. And one of the key tenets that we keep reminding ourselves is that it is impossible to not have an experience. You don't even have to try, right? You can be unintentional about it, or you can choose to be intentional about it. If you aren't paying attention, that member is still having an experience every single day with every single interaction. So we try to be very intentional about that. And in the concept of human-centered design, you really have to put the human or the member into the center, right? They should be your guiding light and your guiding force of what value you're trying to deliver. If you get that experience right, there's profit in it. There's retention in it. There's account growth and cross-sell opportunities built into that. Often we start on the perimeters. I want to make more money. I want to save more money. I want to open more accounts. And then we look at tools and things like that to stand up. But if we really focus on what is that member's situation, how are they all different? Where are they in their journey at that point in time? Are they buying their first house? Are they looking for a mortgage? Are they buying their first car? Those are two different experiences, both very big life moments, right? If we understand where they are and we can meet them where they are, then we can deliver really great experiences. At Allied, we have to think about not only the member, but we also have to think about the credit union's employee. We build software that credit union employees use to create a better experience for the member. We know that the most expensive software to build is the wrong software. If you don't get it right, if you don't understand the problem you're trying to solve, why is it a problem, all of those things, and what is that member's experience in the middle of it, or the customer's experience, the user's experience in the middle of it, you're going to spend a lot of time and a lot of money, and then people are going to be like, well, this isn't a fun experience, right? Again, be intentional about the experience, not unintentional about it. So we have to reduce friction. People want to go on desire paths. I think you probably have employees in the credit union over there that you have been there a long time and you use them to train others, and you sit over their shoulder and you realize, wow, they found all these little workarounds and paths to deviate through your training manual. Oh, the training manual says do this, but actually if you spin around 3 times and click this other button, you can get there faster, right? That's a desire path. So within user experience and putting the human in the center, we are trying to always find where is their desire path. How can we reduce as much friction through that desire path as possible? And if we get it wrong, then we know that our clients, credit unions, that desire path will lead them away from Allied. They'll go to our competitors. If we get it wrong, your members, and if you get it wrong, your members will also start to take their desire path somewhere else. So we want to make sure that we really dial that in.
Yeah, the idea of you always have an experience no matter what. It really resonates. And I've had that conversation with people about culture too, and they'll say, well, we don't
Yes.
really have a culture. You have a
Oh, you do.
culture no matter what. It's whether it's
That's right.
a good culture or maybe not such a good culture. So
Yeah.
that's a great point to make. You leaned into this a little bit in what you just said, the idea that with member expectations,
Mhm.
that can all change. And how does that change when it comes to digital experiences?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. When you look at a member's expectation against good UX, so we kind of hit like what is UX, what is
Mhm.
good UX. But if we dial it into that specific member experience, I think there are a few things um, that can help us navigate through that. So one is we think of our members, we think of ourselves as the center of our members' experience, right? We are everything we're doing is for them, but sometimes we forget that they have a life outside of our credit union. Okay, so they aren't just comparing the experience they have with you against their other financial providers, their other financial institutions. They are comparing you against the best digital experiences that they have in every facet of their life. We've all been in those moments when you can go both ways. You could say, this is about to be a very scary, complicated situation. And all of a sudden, dink, 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 I scan a barcode or a QR code, or somehow it already knows information about me. And that thing that I was nervous about doing, whether it's filing taxes on TurboTax is a great example. People go in there thinking, I can't do this, I can't do this. And then boom, all of a sudden, an hour later, it's all done and it was super easy and simple. We also have the opposite of that experience where we think this shouldn't be a problem at all. This is going to be a very easy thing to do. And then you're like, why isn't this working? Why isn't this doing the thing that I expect it to do? Why am I having to? Here's a real world example that we see. Um, you already have all this information about me. I've already provided you components of that information. But the further I go through the process, you're asking me for that same information again because there's a breakdown in your connections, right? Or the APIs or whatever it is. You're jumping between different fintech providers and maybe the data is not transferring properly. All of us have experienced that both inside of our financial lives, but also outside of our financial lives, right? So any one of us can do that. I think another key thing around members' expectations is we like to think of ourselves as being connected to the member, meaning I would never do this. Therefore, a member would never do this. We have to remember that we are not our customers. We are not our members. Gets back into like putting that user in the center. And then I think they expect simplicity. They expect ease of use. As the world evolves around them and all the things they interact with, I think that simplicity becomes the real advantage. So there's a great book if anyone's very interested in UX and wants to keep going after this call. It's called Don't Make Me Think. And it's a very approachable book. And it's kind of all this idea of like the more that you make someone think and have to make decisions and make choices and interpret what you're trying to do, the less you're going to get them, right? You're not going to get them all the way through your loan origination process or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve with that member. The more you make them think, the harder it is for them to get through.
So we have made it this far into this conversation. I don't think AI has been brought up yet, which
Oh,
would
here
be
we go.
amazing. But what should credit unions consider when introducing AI into their user experience?
Yeah, you can't, what is it, swing a dead cat without hitting the word AI at this point. AI and user experience. This is a good one. And it's interesting because I think like today in this moment in time, I'm going to try to answer that to the best of my ability because it's a complicated web. But the interesting thing is, as soon as I answer that question, and some listener is watching this or viewer is watching this a few weeks from now, my answer is probably going to be different, right? Because that's how fast this stuff is evolving and how this stuff is changing. So if we think about AI and UX, I think the goal shouldn't be just more automation, just automate more, automate more, automate more. It is, how might I be more helpful? How might I reduce more friction? We're all racing toward plugging AI into things, but we can't forget that our members themselves are human.
Very good. Well, good information, a lot of good stuff packed into that, Barrett. I appreciate you joining me on the Three Questions video interview. It's been a pleasure to connect with you, and thank you again for joining me.
Greg, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. Those were great questions. You kind of had me in the hot seat for a minute. And big hello and thank you to anyone who's watching this. I wish you all the best on your member experience, your member journey, with your clients, with your customers, with your members. And also don't forget about the internal users too. They have an experience as well. And the better their experience is, the better your member experience is going to be. Take care.
Awesome. All right. And thank you to all who tuned in for this Three Questions video interview. We'll see you next time.